Hello and welcome to the Daily Climate Show. Coming up. In the dock, Greenpeace looks to challenge the government in court over its approval of new oil and gas projects. We'll tell you a bit more about bird flu fears on the Farne Islands. And nearly 400,000 more homes in Devon are now subject to a hosepipe ban after an exceptionally dry February. Hello and welcome to the Daily Climate Show, where we track the changes to our world and investigate some of the potential solutions to the climate crisis. But first, the High Court could decide today whether it will allow a legal challenge against the government to proceed over its decision to approve new oil and gas licences. Now, Greenpeace is bringing the action on climate grounds, arguing that any new oil and gas exploration is incompatible with the UK's emission reduction obligation. We're starting in Spain because it's gearing up for a dangerous April heatwave as temperatures look set to exceed 40 degrees in the south of the country, smashing previous records. Now, Seville could exceed 36 degrees today, over 10 degrees above the average for this time of year. Now, with temperatures expected to be even higher tomorrow and on Thursday, it follows the driest March in 2 decades. Now, the Scottish National Party is demanding that Westminster hands over power for energy emergency to the Scottish Parliament, arguing that the revenues from the sector should be used to benefit the Scottish people. Now, the party's Westminster spokesperson, Stephen Flynn, made the case in a speech earlier today, where he argued that Scotland was energy rich and should see more of the benefits. Now, the offices of major American banks have been targeted by climate activists ahead of their annual general meetings today. Citigroup, Bank of America and Wells Fargo will hold AGMs as they face increasing pressure from shareholders to end funding of new fossil fuel projects. HSBC announced in December that it was ending funding for new fossil fuel projects, and Danske Bank also said it would stop financing oil and gas projects earlier this year. Nearly 400,000 households in Devon are now subject to a hosepipe ban as lower than average rainfall in February compounds water shortages from 2022. A ban was already in place for Cornwall and parts of Devon, but the extension brings Plymouth, Barnstaple, Tavistock and Torquay under the same restrictions. Now, South West Water says the ban may be in place until December and needed to break the cycle of the drought. Now, bird flu is hitting Britain once again, and important colonies, of course, for wild birds after the National Trust confirmed 3 cases on Northumberland's Farne Islands. And it means the islands will be closed to visitors again during the breeding season after 6,000 dead birds were collected last year. I'm joined now by the National Trust's Harriet Reid, and she's Area Ranger for the Northumberland coast and Farne Islands. Oh, thanks for joining us, Harriet. So we know so far 3 confirmed cases so far.
Yes, that's correct. There's been 3 confirmed cases on the islands, 1 on the inner group and 2 on the outer group.
And what's the thinking about sort of locking down just to make sure that you can kind of get a hold of this? Do we think that this outbreak perhaps will lead to another big problem for the island again?
We are hoping that if we restrict access to the islands, that it will limit the disturbance to the birds. It is quite likely that we will see similar outcomes of the virus, like on the birds. So we will see many dead birds again, but hopefully we can stem the spread this year.
And just talk to us a little bit about what happened on the island last year, because it was quite a big number there, 6,000 dead.
We were picking up a lot of carcasses last year, and a lot of the birds died due to bird flu. And what happened was quite a few of our dense colonies suffered, so guillemots and kittiwags, which nest on the cliff areas.
And just explain to our viewers how important the islands are for wild bird colonies.
During the breeding season, the islands provide a place for many vulnerable species to breed, and so it's vital that we continue to protect the islands and monitor the species so that we can gauge how healthy they are, and also so that we can protect it for the future and so that they will continue to have this space.
And it's impossible to kind of stem bird flu, I suppose. How confident are you that you'll be able to make sure that things are okay for the rest of the year?
It's difficult to predict how bird flu will affect the island. I believe that if we do our best to restrict access and try and intervene where we can, then we stand the best chance.
OK.
And it will be the best chance for the birds.
Thanks, Harriet. That's Harriet Reid from the National Trust there. Right, well, before we go, just a quick reminder that you can watch The Climate Show with Tom Heap this weekend. That's on Saturday and Sunday at 3 o'clock and 7:30 in the evening. Well, that's all from us today. Thanks so much for watching. But do join us on the Daily Climate Show, same time tomorrow at 3:30. Bye for now.